some adjustment for sure. And some things you might want to think about, do you have the garden hoses attached to the house still? Anything that involves winterizing, anything where water could freeze, that's something that could happen probably as early as next Tuesday morning, Veterans Day morning. That could be when that first freeze happens for our area. And just say bye to the summertime crops and flowers and those type of things. That's probably over by early next week, it would seem.
Yeah, is it the 4 Ps? Pets, plants, pipes. I feel like I'm forgetting and people.
Oh,
yes.
People. Who could forget?
I could probably come up
and
with
the pipes will be okay, but yeah.
Yes. It's going to be a shock to the system for many people, I think. But this is, like you said, this is not unusual. I saw this all over social media today. So some of which, the social meteorologists kind of acting like this is, out of the ordinary, but this is right on schedule for us. So just preparing, winterizing your home. Could even potentially see some snow flurries up towards the high country, which probably would be the first of this. It probably wouldn't be the first of its season. I believe I saw a couple of snow flurries. Was that last week up towards the high country?
Yeah, so we had some snowflakes, in the highest of high elevations. So I think the snow level was about 5,000 feet.
Okay.
At most. So Beech Mountain got some flakes. Mount Mitchell had some accumulating snow. Mount LeConte near Gatlinburg got some of that too. But next week, that really is something to look at. Those snow levels could come down. They will come down. I think the question is just, would you have enough moisture? So it probably seems like what we call one of those northwest flow scenarios that everybody in the high country knows about. The cold air comes in, the wind starts to whip, and every now and then you get those snow showers that might be inconsistent. A lot of the moisture from those actually comes in from the Great Lakes, so it'll be something interesting to watch the lake effect snow machine kind of come to life across the Midwest, and it'll just be a different season, and who knows how long it'll last. But enjoy this week while we have it if you like being warm, because next week we might even have daytime highs like in the low 50s at times. So that's
I will also add Beech Mountain does open November 21st for their winter season. So I imagine they'll be making a lot of snow with these colder temperatures. We'll all be looking forward to it, though, across the Carolinas. Thank you, Tim, for joining me today. We'll have Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich back tomorrow.
Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being with us here for Live Impact News. I'm Vanessa Rufus. We'll be together for the next couple of hours talking about any of your big breaking headlines, live feeds that we're seeing around our area and beyond, and also in-depth conversations, which we're pleased to say that we've got an in-depth convo for you coming right at this very moment. So if you've been with any length of time, with us here, you'll notice that we talk quite a bit about MMA. And it's because we do have an expert, if you will, in the house. And it's really been a delight to learn a bit more about the sport and also just how it's been growing in the Charlotte area. So, of course, for folks, if you haven't met Amro is with our assignment desk, but also participates in MMA here in Charlotte. And we have Amro here with Michael from Checkmat. So y'all have I guess worked together a little bit already, kind of in your extracurriculars, if you will, and you're seeing, Michael, just the sport growing here in Charlotte.
Yeah, it's really taken off. I was fortunate enough to be part of it when I first got legalized here in North Carolina, and with a company called Fight Lab.
Yeah.
And that was a company that owned part of it, and one of my best friends, Kenny Letts, he was the majority owner. And another guy, Tom Bakley, was one of our partners in it. And we sort of got the entire scene started here in the Carolinas. And we ran with that for a while. And unfortunately, every good thing has to come to an end. But, I've been fortunate enough to see it from the beginning.
Yeah. And I mean, we have mentioned this before, but Amro, we've talked with you about how you do jiu-jitsu, and
I actually train with Michael Allen, under Michael Allen at his gym, Checkmat Charlotte, and I've been there for just about 9 or 10 months, coming from Myrtle Beach, and just an amazing gym and amazing environment, amazing instructors. It's been a beautiful experience so far.
Yeah. So tell us a bit, about the growth of MMA in Charlotte. How has it developed? Are you seeing it in, growing interest levels, different folks who are getting into it who weren't previously into it? Is it more of like a diversifying of the styles of MMA that we're seeing here in Charlotte that are available for folks? What are you seeing, Michael?
So MMA came to the United States in its current form because everybody thinks of MMA. When they think of MMA, they think of UFC. And so the UFC came here to the United States in 1993, somewhere around through there. And MMA did not get legalized here in North Carolina until 2009. Mm. And so it was a while before it came here. It took a while to get legalized in all the states. But there was such a want for it in the community, and just based off of the beta and VHS tapes and things like that, and the pay-per-views from coming out from Nevada and Las Vegas. And so when it got legalized here, it took off really fast. And in Charlotte and North Carolina, again, like I said, our company Fight Lab was at the forefront, and I think we did, when I was with them, right at 60 shows. We used to do fights up on the Epicenter and in Grady Cole, and up on top of the Epicenter when the Epicenter was actually booming. So it was pretty interesting. We would have anywhere from 2,000 to sometimes 4,000 people at our events, and so we was at the front, and we just took it off fast, and that was where it really started in the Charlotte area. And there's been some other promotions since we went out of business, and they've kept things going. And the interest has always been there. People training, people doing different variations of the arts that make up mixed martial arts. Like jiu-jitsu and boxing, Muay Thai, things like that. So, it took off fast, and it's I think it stayed there so far. And we have some fighters in the UFC right now from the Charlotte area. Brian Battle, he came here and interviewed with you guys. That was pretty cool. And so when you start getting one or two in the UFC, you're doing the right thing.
Yeah. So you brought up Brian coming on the stream before. I feel like we've had the pleasure of meeting folks who have different backgrounds, maybe, approaching the sport, whether it was something that they kind of have always done, or maybe something that they realized after the fact that they were super into, and you were kind of surprised, like,
Yeah.
wow, you went your whole life and you're just now getting into it and you're pretty darn good.
Yeah.
What would you say for folks who, have like a budding interest, and, depending on where they are in their life, how can they get started?
I mean, there's gyms everywhere. The one thing I would say is, be careful, be realistic with your expectations, and, what you can and cannot do. Someone who's coming in and they know absolutely nothing, I'm a firm believer you need to have a base. Also, age comes into it. Mm-hmm. If you're 30 years old and up, you probably want to be a little realistic. I don't think you want to jump right into the MMA training, but probably start with like jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai or boxing or something like that. So, it's for everybody. It is for everybody to a degree.
Amro, what do you want to ask Michael?
From a student perspective, I feel like a lot of times we don't ask you where in your youth and how in your youth you got started in martial arts. And I'm just really curious, where in your youth did you start, why, and why did you continue this long?
So I started off wrestling, which is just my opinion the best base for MMA, and really for anything. I started off wrestling, and when I was little, my dad wrestled. He took third in the state back when all of the A's were combined. He took third, I think, twice. And so from the time I was little, I was wrestling and all over the house and going to different freestyle tournaments and things like that. But and then it just sort of evolved. I went through high school and a little bit into college, and then I sort of went my own way. As far as the grappling community for a while. And then I was working at Waffle House, and some guys came in, and they had cauliflower ear. Usually wrestlers have cauliflower ear. I don't get cauliflower ear for some reason. I'm just genetics, I guess.
Oh, wow.
But they came in and they said, they was like, hey, you look like you wrestled before. You should come down and try our club out. And I was like, well, what is it? And it was like, oh, it's catch wrestling. And I was like, what's catch wrestling? And they sort of explained it to me. And I was like, oh, I watched the UFC and, Pride and stuff like that. I was like, okay, I'll stop by. So I went down after work, and that was it. I was hooked. It was grappling. It wasn't what I was used to with wrestling. It was sort of like, wrestling with submissions. Sort of like what we do in jiu-jitsu, but without the kimono. And, I just fell in love. I loved it. And then 2 years later, we had a guy that was like our manager for our grappling team. And he came in and he said that there was a Hoist Gracie seminar here in Concord. And so I went down with him to that. And after that, I was driving down from Asheville to Charlotte, once, sometimes twice a week to train jiu-jitsu on top of the submission wrestling training I was doing in Asheville. So,
wow.
And that's how I got started. That was a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away.
So what pushed you to start coaching? And you've taken some students to the world level, the world championship level, and you've trained some great fighters.
Yeah.
Why did you continue that in your later on in life?
So when I was working at the Waffle House, I was also coaching wrestling.
Okay.
So and so the coaching thing was always, a part of what I was doing. And then, I got into the catch wrestling, and I sort of started wanting to train for myself while I was doing the coaching of wrestling. And then I ended up getting injured. I hurt I'd love to tell the story like I got hurt punching somebody in the face or something like that, but I didn't. I got hurt working at the paper mill. I crushed my finger. My fingers got crushed in between two paper rolls. And so my coach was like, hey, you can't fight this weekend. And it doesn't look like you're going to be fighting probably at all for a while, because I had pins in the end of my fingers and rods. And so he was like, why don't you, you're a coach in wrestling, why don't you help me coach the team, and why don't you sort of get into like managing them. And so then I did a little assistant coaching, with the wrestling and stuff for the MMA team that was there. And then I started taping hands. And then I started managing them and getting them fights. And then next thing I know, it was just, I had my hands in everything. So much so that I ended up quitting my job, at the paper mill. And then I ended up moving to Charlotte, and then, one thing led to another. And I was just in the MMA game, like deep. So
It was like it was meant to be.
yeah, that's what people told me.
This is how the story sounds,
But thinking back on it, I mean, it was a big risk.
Yeah.
It was a huge risk. It was a huge risk. But things did work out. My ex-wife at the time, she lived in Asheville, and our kids were there. And one day she was like, "You know what? I'm moving to Charlotte." And I was like, "What?" She was like, "Yeah, I'm moving to Charlotte." And I was like, "Okay, well, I'm gone. I'm going to Charlotte too." Because at that point I was driving, not only was I driving back and forth for jiu-jitsu, but I was driving back and forth because I was working with Fight Lab, the company.
Just a drive.
Yeah, and then, so at that point, I mean, I would drive down and I would end up staying for like 3 or 4 days and then try to drive back, and I ended up quitting my job at the mill, and it was getting to be a lot. And then she said that, and I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go ahead and move down to Charlotte before you. And, then I got down here, and again, one thing led to another, and it just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So
I know that, picking an affiliation is also kind of difficult for a lot of people.
Yes.
I know that when I first got to Charlotte, I actually, I looked around at a few gyms, and before I decided on Checkmat Charlotte, I did look at others, and I just wanted to know, what is it about the Checkmat affiliation that means so much to you personally and professionally? Why did you choose Checkmat?
So, I wasn't always with Checkmat. When I told you, when I was first coming down here, I was coming to see Professor Joe Hurst, and he was Gracie Baja. He was part of the Gracie Baja Association. But it was sort of like, it seemed like a loose association. I don't want to say it wasn't, but it wasn't like how we are with Checkmat.
Right.
And so then he gave me his black belt. He gave me my black belt in 2000. We'll call it 14. Okay. And then he left and wasn't in the area anymore, and so Professor Paulo Mushu had approached me about switching over to the Checkmat team. And in my mind, I was still in that MMA mindset. I was coaching MMA, and the majority of my students were MMA fighters, and I sort of thought jiu-jitsu was sort of ridiculous. Like I liked it. I loved jiu-jitsu. I loved grappling, but the culture seemed a little silly to me, like especially with associations and stuff. And because I just didn't get it. I wasn't in that lifestyle. And so Professor Mushu had talked to me about switching teams and taking over the Checkmat Charlotte, which was what he owned at the time. And I remember when he first said it, I was like, why is this such a big deal? Like, I just didn't get it. And so, I talked to, before I switched, I talked to Professor Joe Hurst and got his blessing. And I talked to my wife, and I talked to my son, Eddie, who at the time was 16, and I think he was 16. He's 15 or 16, but he had been training under me, for a while. And I wanted to make sure all of them were cool. And then I talked to my students. And of course, my students were like, "Hey, we're MMA fighters. We don't care. We don't care what you do. We're with you no matter what." And so yeah, I switched over to Checkmat, and it just opened my eyes because it really felt like a team. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And immediately, Professor Leo, Master Leo came in, Leo Vera, and he's the originator and founder of Checkmat USA. And he came in, and he took me in and my team in, like we were family from day one. And then that's when I really started going to the IBJJF tournaments, and I started pushing, my MMA fighters to more. We always, the one difference in my training for MMA fighters, and I felt like the other trainers, was that I always pushed them to train in the gi. I always pushed them to train in the gi. And so, I started taking them to compete, in IBJJF events and more jiu-jitsu events, and just getting real active in the scene and really representing the team and the association. And it's important. If obviously, your jiu-jitsu is your jiu-jitsu, and you hear me talk about that all the time. You don't want to compare yourself to anyone else. Your jiu-jitsu is for you. But it really means a lot when, you can go to tournaments and you can see all the other checkmats, checkmat Orlando, checkmat Kazakhstan, and checkmat Japan, and checkmat China, or checkmat, all these different places around the world, and you're all wearing that same patch. Yeah. And, no matter where you're at, even if they don't speak your language, you get a smile, and you can share ideas, with them when you have time, and eat with them, and it's really cool feeling. And so, the association really is important if it's important to you. Does that make sense? Yeah. And, so for me, it means everything. We'll always represent checkmat. Right now I don't have to because I'm a 3rd degree black belt, but, I plan on being with them, forever.
I know I kind of asked this before, but just for folks who might be popping in here on our feed here a little bit late, how would you recommend people get into this if this is interesting to them? I know you kind of were talking about, be diligent about where you're scoping out. Yeah. Anything beyond that, where do people start, to get into this?
Well, my gym's a good place. So let's just keep it simple. As far as jiu-jitsu, number one, find a place that offers a good trial, and keep it really simple. Go to Google, put in jiu-jitsu near me, and find some places local around you. Make sure the distance is safe for you to travel, it's convenient for you to travel. Go watch a class. I always suggest to go watch a class first. If you don't know anything, if you don't know what you're getting into, go watch a class, and make sure that the vibe, you feel comfortable with it. And if you feel awkward, you feel like something's wrong, probably is, and you can come back to that place later and just go down the street and watch another class. Yeah. And then take part in the trial. If they don't offer a trial, that's probably a red flag. Okay. At my school we offer 3 classes within 2 weeks. Okay. And I've tried everything under the sun. Just so I've tried a month, I've tried to do this, I've tried a free week. But the way I've thought about it is, most people, from my experience, they physically can only handle, because it's a different form of physical training with jiu-jitsu. It looks simple, but it's not simple. And so a lot of people, the first time they do it, the next day, the day after, they're really sore.
The DOMs will get you.
Yes. Yeah. So, and then, take that trial and then go do another trial. Mm-hmm. Now if you do a trial and it jumps out at you, that's probably it. Yeah. Maybe you probably don't have to do another one, so, but that's the best way to start. Also, you want to look at the cleanliness of the school, not villainizing anybody, but we clean our mats after every training session 3-4 times a day, and that's important. Mm-hmm. Our gym is cleaned once a week, our bathrooms are cleaned once a week, and so things like that is important, especially in a physical combat sport, that's skin to skin contact, because there's a lot of stuff out there that can get spread. You want to make sure that everybody's clean, the gym's clean. Look at people, looking. You can look at white and see if it's white. In a gi. You look at somebody's gi. If their gi is dingy, it might be a red flag. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So also look at safety. Also look at who's instructing the class. Are there high ranking belts in the class, or is it just a bunch of white belts just rolling around? So there's a lot of stuff to look at. Again, there's a lot of reputable gyms in this area. A lot of good gyms, a lot of different associations. Some gyms are more competitive, some gyms are more hobbyist. But for the most part, it's a very good community.
And what's your age range?
Oh man, I have let's see here. I have from 4 years old up to, not going to call any names, but I would say probably about 65.
Wow, that's awesome.
About 65 years old.
Wow.
So I used to have two gentlemen that were older, but they moved away. But they still train. And I stay in contact with them. It's my gym's pretty diverse. It's not diverse enough for me. I would love to see more people, more different walks of life, coming in, because I feel like it's important. I feel like jiu-jitsu is it's important, not so much for just the physical experience, but for the mental and emotional experience that it can give you, and the confidence it can build, the self-esteem, the self-awareness. I feel like that stuff is important, and I feel like there's a segment of society that needs jiu-jitsu that we haven't reached yet.
Yeah.
And it's important that those people get reached, more so than Armro here. Nobody's jumping on Armro. Women, children, the LGBTQ community. I feel like anybody who could be victimized. I feel like they need jiu-jitsu, and I feel like it's important. So that's my goal in 2026 is to reach out and get as many people into doing jiu-jitsu as possible. And I've got some stuff in the plans rolling into 2026. So you'll be seeing more of that, I think.
Yeah, that's really interesting to hear. You don't, I guess, think about the diversity of a gym, if you will, but the way that you brought it out like that and why that's important, I can definitely see why that would matter. Yeah. Amr, do you have anything else before we wrap things up?
No, I totally agreed with that. I mean, as a person who looked around for gyms and found my gym, I can say 1,000% that I agree with the diversity part of a gym. I mean, that also has its place in everybody's game as well. Everybody is different when they train, and so you get to practice with just so many different people, and not expecting what the next person can bring. So, thank you so much, and it's a great gym, it's a great environment, and I personally love it there.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, I almost forgot. Hey, Aaliyah.
Who's your special shout out?
Aaliyah, my daughter.
Oh, okay.
She said she wanted me to talk about her a lot.
Okay.
So, yeah, she trains jiu-jitsu. She's 9 years old.
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah. So, hey, Aaliyah, Daddy will be home in a little bit. Okay?
You're doing great, Aaliyah. All right. Well, I think this is a great conversation. Feel free to come back anytime. We love to having you here on Live Impact.
Absolutely. Oh, and I have something for you.
Oh, a surprise! Yeah. More surprises.
I have something for you. Here is a checkmat hoodie.
Oh my goodness! I don't even know. Did I earn this?
No, but you're going to potentially.
Oh no! What am I going to do now? Do I have to do something like a special? I don't even know what it's called. The terminology.
So, speaking of former guests, one of my students, Lindsay Orr, was here.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. She's
very memorable.
One of our former world champions.
Yes.
Or current world champions, and so she wants you to come and train one day in our Queens class, okay?
Oh, man.
And so she also wants you guys to bring the cameras whenever you guys come. And so I have this awesome, brand new checkmat gi, okay? And that is yours.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Yes, that is your kimono, okay, that you will get to wear at your first Queens class.
Oh, my goodness.
And so you have a invitation to come and train at our school.
That is so sweet. I'm gonna take a look at this. I don't want to delay too much here, but I'm going to look at the. I know our producer Jeb is like. I know we don't really have any time constraints here, but so this is what I just wanted folks to see it. Can you see it? There it is.
Yeah,
Oh,
open it up, look at the back
The
of it
color is
too.
cool.
Yeah, it's black and pink.
Oh. Oh
got
my
the-
goodness gracious.
It's got the checkmat box on it and my logo to the right of
Is
it.
that a gargoyle or a dog?
So that is a unique story. So that is the pit puppy.
Oh.
And
Y'all know that I like those?
oh really?
Yeah.
Okay.
I volunteer at the animal shelter.
Oh yeah, Armro told me that.
There are a lot of
That's
pit
right.
puppies there.
Yeah. So the company Fight Lab that I was telling you about, the MMA company, that dog, pit puppy, the angry pit puppy, as we used to call him, was the Fight Lab logo, except he was sort of flexing with MMA gloves on. And so a lot of the fighters that fought for Fight Lab has that tattooed on them. And so I took the pit puppy and turned it into my logo and put it in a kimono. And I actually have it tattooed on my side when I got my black belt, big right here. And then I put it on my logo for our gis and stuff. So
Oh my goodness.
yeah, and it has the checkmat cross behind it. So that's how that logo came about.
That's actually good to know. I always wondered what it was.
This is totally incredible. I'm gonna have to get with Amro because I'm like, you'll have to show me how to wear this. What do I wear with it? I'm sure there's probably more to the outfit, but thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, and inside of it, if you look inside of it, the embroidery, open it up on the inside, it says that's our checkmat mantra. We are checkmat and we are one.
Oh, that's great. Y'all totally surprised me. Y'all. Okay, well, I look forward to learning a thing or two.
There you go.
And thank you to Lindsay, too, for the special invite as well.
Absolutely.
Michael Allen, everyone, with Checkmat Charlotte and Amro. Again, once again, always bringing great interviews for us. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, y'all, we're going to take a quick break here on Live Impact News. We'll be back in 2 minutes with more on the other side. We got some meetings going on, folks, so we'll probably be joining with one of those. All right, thanks so much for sticking with us here on Live Impact News. I'm Vanessa Rufus once again. We mentioned we got some meetings going on tonight in the Charlotte area. We're going to go over to Union County right now. Commissioners are discussing the Board of Education budget right now. There's been quite a bit of dialogue, so let's listen in to see where things stand.
There's another entity that has to be involved in that.
Correct. And to be fair, they vote on their budget. That's a recommended or requested budget, and so, again, it takes more collaboration than just one board working in singularity.
Yes, sir.
And I'm glad that you brought up the sources. So problem number 4, I look at this and I say, or I think that another issue is funding. So, UCPS, they have a budget that's accumulated from 3 sources, and we talked a little bit about that. Obviously, state dollars, they get a little bit of federal dollars, and then they get local dollars from Union County. And we saw, the budget numbers. So UCPS has a total budget. If you look at FY25, I think it was 628 or 29, and they're looking at 611, I think, this year.
That's
and
correct.
this is just estimation to the best of our knowledge. Correct?
This is what was the information we had available from Union County Public Schools. So if you see 611, and that's capital. Understand that has capital in it as well.
Total budget, absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
So we're counting in capital and operating. But in contrast, I think that it's important for everyone to understand that the county has, we build our budget from really a singular source, even though it's 3 buckets. So we have utilities, and we have sales tax, and we have property tax. And that is the lion's share of what constitutes a county budget.
Yes.
But ultimately, that comes back to the resident. It goes back to, the regular old taxpayer or the guy that's on water and sewer.
Sure.
So, I think a key point that was brought up tonight is that, that pie chart there that shows that, where you've got 57%, instruction and then 43% for support staff. I mean, that's getting close to a 1-to-1 ratio. I mean, we're starting to get into that middle ground. And I want to be clear, this year especially, this county has faced a lot of challenges. We've faced challenges with the reassessment process that was required by state law, by the way.
State mandate.
Yeah, and the home values were determined by state formulas and things like that. But the point of it is that process was largely out of this board's control.
Yes.
What was within our control was tax rates. And so in the middle of all that, we've got, a school bond that this board pushed through, that we approved to put on the ballot, okay? So we put that out there. We took a vote to put that out on the ballot. And, that school bond would essentially finish up the Forest Hills cluster, and it would also allot money for design work at Parkwood. And to be clear, the voters approved that bond. So it went out for vote, and the will of the people is that they give us a thumbs up.
And if we had not supported that, it would not have gone on the ballot. So this board supported that when the schools asked for it, and we allowed it to be put on the ballot.
Yes.
But what folks might not remember in all of that was that the initial projections of the cost. And now, granted, there were a couple of bonds, okay? This is not just UCPS, but
Sure.
SPCC was on there too. But the initial projections for that was 5.15 cents over revenue neutral tax rate.
Yes, sir.
So that was our best estimation at that point in time. And I would credit, you and your staff, because staff here at the county worked diligently to reduce that bond's impact on the tax rate to 1.82
1.82.
cents over revenue neutral. So we went from 5.15 to 1.82, and you showed the value of a penny up there earlier. So the value of a penny is just north of $6 million.
Yes, sir.
So you can do the math, and judging by just simple math here, what we did is we cut essentially 18 to 20 million, somewhere in that range. Now, I know that, the value of penny changed,
the value changed,
but the
obviously.
point of it is that we made as much difference in that tax rate as what we possibly could.
Yes, sir.
And at this point, any, and I stress this, any additional operating funding, any funding like that, is going to increase the tax burden on the county taxpayers even further. And if we were to fund another $6 million, then that's one penny. That's another penny that everybody that pays taxes in this county is going to have to pay. So at some point, it becomes counterproductive to tax the residents. And when I say the residents, it also includes the teachers, all right, that live in this county, more than what the supplement increase is going to provide. And again, I understand that that's going to be different for everybody because it depends on your home value. But the difference of $1,000 or $2,000, in my opinion, is within the control of UCPS, because going back to my statement earlier, who writes the checks? UCPS writes the checks. The difference that we're talking about tonight represents 0.5%, not even a full percent, 1/2 approximately, and that's compared to their total operating budget. And I think this whole thing kind of begs the question is, do your priorities line up with your budget? And what I mean by that is if we are currently number 6 in overall funding, operational and capital, and I think we've got, 115 school districts?
Yes.
So
that's
115
correct.
school districts in the state, but we're 37th in teacher pay. And if teacher pay is our top priority, which is what we heard, we've heard this time and time again.
And we agree.
And we also agree to that, correct? So we are in the same boat here, okay? But if teacher pay is our top priority, and the county can trim what we trimmed out of our budget, I think the UCPS is incumbent upon them to find $2.5 to $3 million, all right, especially when their budget is roughly the same size as ours. So we're already meeting them halfway. And, you know, I went back to Dr. Houlihan's Twitter and X account, and I found this on October 11th. And listen, I want to be clear, I couldn't agree more with Dr. Houlihan, our superintendent, when he said on October 11th, he said, "In life and leadership, I have learned a lot. One key lesson, if it's important, you'll find a way to make it happen. No excuses." Again, I agree completely. The truth of the whole thing, though, is that UCPS receives funds from local government, but that's the taxpayer. That's you, the taxpayer. And they receive funds in a big bucket of money. And in my opinion, the 8.8 that we provided, you know, is at their discretion to provide a $1,000 or a $2,000 increase for the 2,458 teachers that we have. UCPS is in control of that. Again, they write the check. The pie is only so big, okay? The pie that we have to work with is only so large. And there's only a couple of ways to make that pie bigger.
Yes, sir.
So we either increase the taxes or we cut the budget. My challenge to UCPS is, have you cut the budget? Have we cut it? Have you looked for those opportunities? All right, 1 penny on the tax rate. That's on top of municipal taxes that you might pay. That depends on your assessed value of your home, and that is for every taxpayer in the county. I'm not going to vote to support additional tax increases at this point in time. I think we've been through enough already, and we have to live within our means. All right, UCPS has to live within their means too. The county has to live within ours. The schools have to live within theirs. Thank you.
Commissioner Balcom, Commissioner Helms, I just want to say that when we had this conversation June 2nd, when the Board of Education Chair and the CFO, I fully believed on June 2nd that they would do the 1,000 or the 2,000 supplement increase for under 2,500 teachers, classroom teachers. And if you go back and look at the video, we talked about, classroom teacher, yes. Classroom teacher, yes. And had the $1,000 supplement increase been done when the state passed the mini budget the end of July, and we just assumed they did the supplement increase, that would have moved Union County Public School teachers from number 37 to number 17 or 18. If they had done the $2,000 increase, which would have been like $4.8 million, or let's just say $5 million, it would have moved us to number 11 in the state. And they would have had $3.8 million remaining after doing that. And so, when the teachers started sending us screenshots of the Q&A of what was floating around the schools, the emails, minutes, teacher comments, principal comments, things that the principals were going into staff meetings and saying, that was October 2nd, and it completely blindsided me because I didn't know the teachers had not gotten their supplement increase. From June 2nd to October 2nd, I didn't know it didn't happen. But that's the nature of board to board. We funded, for them to make the decision which one to do, and we thought that it was going to be done. So when teachers started sending us information on October 2nd, didn't know it hadn't been done. And so I immediately reached out to the superintendent. He said he would have that information corrected. I reached out to 3 different board members, didn't hear back. And it just went from there. So, it was important for this board, for me, for all 5 of us to know the supplement didn't happen after the mini budget was billed the end of July. And Dr. Houlihan didn't know when it would happen because they wanted to wait on a state budget. But this was a county supplement that we assumed was going to the teachers to go from number 37 to maybe number 17 or number 11. And, I'm very thankful that teachers and staff feel comfortable letting us know what's being said in these meetings, because we had no idea that it didn't happen. We thought that when we voted on this budget in June that it happened. So so I'll just end there. I definitely thought we were going to make progress by going to number 17 or number 11. I'm sad it didn't happen. I hope that it happens in November, and I hope that it gets retro back to July. And again, that would have left almost $4 million remaining from the additional 8.8. And if there was additional collection rate, they would be getting that too on their tax rate.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, we offered a way for them to get to the 14.6, and it was sent back to us. They didn't want to do that. So we thought we were being good stewards. We thought we were being good partners. No one reached out to me and said that they had a problem with the 8.8. I never got a phone call. I don't know if anyone else got a phone call that they needed additional money, that, the 8.8 wasn't going to work. They demanded the 14.6. But staff to staff clearly had these conversations. So I want the county manager, but I'm going to go to Jason Kay. So the Board of Education chair indicated, one, that they wanted us to put this on the agenda, so we have. We also reached out to see if we could have a meeting chair to chair and vice chair to vice chair, and that hasn't been able to happen. That didn't happen either. if we wanted to do a tax increase, 1 penny, to give them the 14.6, would we be able to do that in October, or would we be able to do that in November or December by state law? Would we be able to increase taxes to get them to the 14.6?
I think there's a lot that went into that question, but the basic part that I'm focusing on is, can we, mid-budget cycle, engage in an effort to increase taxes in order to increase the amount provided to UCPS? And I think my basic answer is I would like to research that. My initial thought is that there are some statutes at work regarding budgets that generally you cannot do that, but I would ask for some time to research that a little bit more thoroughly in order to answer that question accurately.
Because before that answer, it was shared with us that we couldn't do an increase midstream.
I'm no attorney, but I will tell you, from the manager's perspective, it has always been under the guise that you cannot raise the tax rate mid-year. Now, our attorney may find some language in the general statutes that allows it. I'm not an attorney. I'm just telling you, from the manager's perspective, we have always operated under, once you have a tax rate, it is the tax rate for that year.
Yeah, and I will add that the inverse of that, the ability to decrease school's budget mid-year, is not permitted by statute, unless there is a general decrease of the overall county budget in which the local school system has to participate because you have some sort of revenue issue that's county-wide. But that does not necessarily speak to the question of the opposite. Can you increase by raising taxes? Again, I'm doubtful on that, but without having an opportunity to research that a little bit further, I don't want to be definitive.
Okay.
Are there any additional questions? And if there's additional information that the board would like from UCPS, because obviously we're giving you the information we have available, and UCPS did respond to our request. They gave us a lot of information. I followed up with some additional questions that I have. They have not had a chance to get those questions answered yet, I don't think. But if there's additional questions, please let me know. I'll be happy to get those and work with their staff to get that information for you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. The next item on business is item 25-684, the state budget update. I will recognize County Manager Brian Matthews, and have a seat. You've been standing for a long time.
So on this particular one, we have provided some information to you. It's at your seat. Honestly, what we would ask is that you look over that. You come back with us any additional questions you may have, and we'll be happy to answer those for you. Don't really have a presentation. It's really just looking for if you have any additional questions or any input you want to give us related to this information.
I really appreciate this information because at our last meeting, we did ask you to outline for this board to understand what was past the end of July. So thank you very much for providing this board a state update. Yes, ma'am. The next item of business is item 25-681, appointments to boards and committees. There is one vacancy to fill on the Union County Juvenile Crime Prevention Council, the Chief of Police position. I will now entertain a motion for a nomination to this committee.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion that we nominate William Rhett Bolin for this position. Is that sufficient? No. Okay.
Are there any other? All those in favor of the motion, say aye. Aye. Very good. And that brings us to the end of business. I will now recognize the county manager for comments if he has anything else to share tonight.
I'm done. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that brings us to commissioner comments, and I'm going to start at this end tonight. Commissioner Balcom.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would just want to take a second to praise our folks out at the Ag Center. I had dealings with them this past weekend or the past 2 months and found them to be exemplary. Found them to be hardworking, attentive, and aim to please. So I just would like to tip my hat to especially Andrew Balcom and Joe Lewis that just did an outstanding job.
Yep, they're salt of the earth people.
Salt of the earth, absolutely. And outside of that, I have no further comments. Just everyone, please be careful going home.
Commissioner Helms.
Well, first of all, I'd like to wish a very happy birthday to Commissioner Brian Helms.
Happy birthday.
And so thankful you're here celebrating tonight. I'd like to thank staff for all their hard work that they put in to the information in regards to funding in schools. I hope this shed a lot of light to everyone out there that had questions and conversations in regards to funding the schools, and to reiterate, the majority of funding, or let me back that up, the majority of pay comes from the state. Teachers are a little bit of everything in a classroom, and if you've ever been in a classroom working as a teacher, you're a nurse, you're a counselor, you have so many hats that you wear, and I want to make sure that it's known that we wholeheartedly support our teachers and staff. I hope there's no question out there that we don't. We provide as much as we possibly can on the backs of our tax-paying citizens. I think we had great conversations tonight about how funding and supplements were given. I hope that the next meeting in November for the BOE, I hope they pass the $1,000 to the certified staff and activate it to July. But I'd also challenge them to give the additional $1,000 to classroom teachers, not certified staff, but to classroom teachers, because, and I'm not saying that the other support staff is not as valuable, but they have a lot of grunt work. And again, if you've ever sat in a classroom, you know how exhausting it is to be a teacher. And our staff, UCPS, does a great job in education. I hope that we can continue great collaboration between the boards. I think there was a breakdown somewhere in the communication, and I hope that Chairman Minchin and Vice Chair Helms will be able to meet with Chair Merrill and Vice Chair Helms soon, so we can start ironing out some of these issues and make sure we're still on good foot with one another. And that's all I have to offer. Thank you.
Commissioner Brian Helms.
Thank you, Madam Chair. That was a whole lot of Helms.
There was.
But yeah, I mean, listen, there has to be dialogue, okay? There has to be some dialogue. And I think that we had some good dialogue here. I'm optimistic that we can also find some collaboration there with the Board of Education and UCPS. Thankful to our staff who worked very diligently trying to put together some numbers for us to look at tonight. It doesn't go unnoticed, the effort that is put in by all of our staff here. Appreciate our speakers. Certainly good to see Harold out here with us again this evening. It's been a while, so yeah, glad to see you back. And certainly appreciate everyone that took the time to come to our meeting tonight. So just want to say thank you, and yeah, drive safe.
Happy birthday, Commissioner Brian Helms. I hope we can get you home soon enough to maybe you don't get to celebrate with the kiddos, but maybe you and Mrs. Helms can celebrate your birthday a little bit tonight when the kids have been tucked away.
Well, you know, I've got a very expensive birthday cake that I need to eat. So
Yes, I have one of those too. So happy birthday. Very happy that you were able to be here tonight. Very sad that Commissioner Sides could not be here tonight. We wish he and Myra well. Logan, we send you our biggest hugs and prayers. We miss you not being here. Commissioner Sides and I had a really great, robust conversation about the teacher supplement and, you know, what our intentions were in June, assuming that the teachers had gotten a teacher supplement increase. Prior to running for the Board of Education in 2014, I had volunteered at Fairview Elementary for 9 years in the classroom. And I can't remember, it was between the two children, I think I had worked with 20-plus teachers over the years, and it does become home. You know, my family's 6 hours away, and Fairview Elementary was my home, and then Porter Ridge Middle and Piedmont Middle and Piedmont High School. You know, you just fall in love with these people that are giving so much to our young people, on top of being such a great school district that serves our young people so well to either be career, military, or college ready. You know, the past few weeks has, you know, personally broken my heart and my spirit with the personal attacks, and because, you know, I have poured, you know, instead of going back into the workplace, I volunteered for free in our schools for 9 years, and then 8 years on the Board of Education, and now 3 years here. And when you look at the presentation tonight, you can see year over year over year, especially since Brian and I have been here. They went from having an additional $5 million to an additional $8 or $9 million. It's something that, you know, we have been very vocal about our support for the superintendent, the Board of Education. So I don't know where the breakdown happened. I hope we can repair it and fix it, because, you know, Brian and I spoke last week, and we were like, well, let's reach out and see if the four of us can sit down before tonight and kind of come to an understanding. And that didn't happen, but I hope that'll happen soon. And I do hope that, you know, with an additional $8.8 million, if you have 2,438 teachers, a $1,000 increase that, again, would take us from number 37 to number 17 would be about $2.5 million for classroom teachers. And if they decide to do the $2,000 increase, that would be about $4.9 million. I don't think anyone on this board, and that would take them from 37 to number 11. But again, from this board, as far as what we fund K-12 education, this board is number 6 in the state, and that has not been acknowledged. And that slide is in the same slide deck as the slide that says their teacher supplements are number 37. The slide says we're number 6 on how much funding this county provides to K-12 education. So I just want to thank this board for being so strong with the attacks and everything over the last 3 weeks. I want to thank Beverly and our finance department, because every time there was an accusation, they were able to track down as much information as possible. Patrick, Clayton, Brian Matthews, I know Jason helped a lot on this. He was here earlier. He had to leave, but we are very grateful for the support and the information you supplied us and the public tonight on how well we do care about all of our schools. We have never heard from anyone that our students were number 22. And when I started tracking down their information on where they got number 37 from, it broke my heart that it's never been mentioned that our students are ranked number 22 in per pupil funding. So I look forward to having that conversation to figure out how we can increase and work with Union County Public Schools to improve where our per pupil funding is landing and have a better understanding about why they're not at number 6 or number 17 or number 11. So I do look forward to that. Every single one of us love our schools and have, from day one, have been committed to supporting education. Last but not least, I want to say an enormous thank you to Liz Cooper. She has been through a lot with all of the UCPS interviews, with their board chair out doing face-to-face interviews, and then all of the news outlets reaching out to her and to me and to Brian for a rebuttal and a statement. And that beautiful Liz Cooper, I mean, we got that letter from Reverend Jimmy Benchin at 5:58 on a Friday night when she had family that had come into town and were staying at her home. And she did not skip a beat with calling me. And we worked from like 6 o'clock at night to 10:45 to provide all of the media outlet that UCPS had sent that letter to that we didn't know anything about after hours on a Friday night. And she left her family so that we could get a statement out for the 11 o'clock news. So, Liz Cooper, I don't know where you are tonight, but the next time we see you, we're all going to hug you. But huge thank you to our staff and to Liz for everything that she does for us and our board and the county. With that, if there are no other comments, I will make a motion to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Aye.
All right, folks, there you have it. Board of Commissioners meeting there in Union County. We are going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes on the other side with more of your news here on Live Impact News. Welcome back, everyone, to Live Impact News. I'm Vanessa Rufus. We will get to an earlier announcement from today. This was in Mecklenburg County, leaders speaking on their concerns and their moves regarding SNAP benefits. As we know, over the weekend, those were not dispersed for folks who rely on that federal benefit amid the ongoing government shutdown. So Mecklenburg County announced some plans to try to help folks in the meantime. Let's listen in.
For being out here. How are you?
Yep.
Good. Ready?
Yeah.
Good afternoon, and thank you all for joining me for today's press conference and update. I am joined today by members of my Health and Human Service leadership team. Some of them include, to my left, Kim Henderson, who is the Director for Child, Family, and Adult Services. Also to my left is Dr. Renard Washington, who is the Director of the Public Health Department. And to my right, we have Yolanda Griffin, who's the Department Director for our Community Resource Centers. And last but certainly not least, I am pleased to introduce to you all my new Deputy County Manager over Health and Human Services, Dr. Kim Campbell. And behind me, of course, someone that needs no introduction, is our Chairman of the Board, Mr. Mark Jarrell. We're here to provide you with a community update. Following the delay of SNAP benefits as a result of the ongoing government shutdown and directive from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, as part of today's update, I will provide an overview of Mecklenburg County's emergency response efforts to mitigate the impact of the disruption of SNAP benefits will have on residents that depend on the program for critical food and nutrition services. This disruption in benefits is impacting vulnerable populations in our community, including children, seniors, people with disabilities, and our low-income households. As many of you are aware, despite having the largest amount of SNAP recipients in North Carolina, Mecklenburg County is not permitted, nor are we financially in a position to supplement the cost associated with the federal program. The estimated monthly value of these halted benefits is $24 million, or about $175 per participant per month. This disruption in service will affect approximately 138,500 individuals across 63,000 households. Despite a pause in benefits, Mecklenburg County will continue to provide food and nutrition services through our ongoing program.
Folks, we'll get back to this announcement as we're able to. Meantime, as we are on the eve of Election Day, we still have some events we're seeing around the nation, including a rally for Democrat Mikey Sherrill in New Jersey, running for governor, and it looks like she's just taken to the stage at this point, making some remarks. Let's listen in right now.
Who has worked her butt off. It's been an amazing year, guys. It's been an amazing year because of all of you. And I look out right now in this crowd, and I have to tell you, my heart is really full. My heart is full. Because we know who we're fighting for. We're fighting for our families. We're fighting for our kids. We're fighting for opportunity. We're fighting to make sure everyone, no matter who you are, where you're born, how much money you have, everybody has a shot. And I've talked so much about the opportunity I've seen in my own family, my grandpa's union job that lifted my mom's side of the family out of poverty. I've talked about my dad working his way through college and not going into debt for years and putting his side of the family into the middle class. And I've talked about how, as I graduated from the Naval Academy, a place I wasn't even sure took women when I was in elementary school, how they, by the time I graduated, changed the rules and allowed women to serve in combat on ships and aircraft. And then Dale has talked about the fact that his dad marched with Martin Luther King, fighting for opportunity for everyone. How Dale took those lessons and went into education so he could create better outcomes for so many people. And so together, as we come to this moment, as we see an attack on all the things we love, we know that here in New Jersey, we are drawing a line. Here in New Jersey, we are saying that in our state, our kids, our families are going to have a great future in our state. And so we're coming to the end, guys. If there's anybody here, and you don't have to out yourself, who has not voted, make sure you have your plan. The polls open at 7 and close at 8. If you are a commuter, I'm working on that Gateway Tunnel, but don't take any chances. Vote before you go. Make sure your neighbors and your friends and your frenemies get out to vote, and these conversations are important, and today's your last day to have them. So I'm going to tell you guys, I have been so incredibly impressed as I've gone all over this state. All over this state. And I've heard from so many different people about what it's going to take to create opportunity for their families. And I've really taken a deep dive into so many things that make our state great. And I stumbled across something that I should have known, but I want to share with all of you because it made me even more proud than ever. So, as you know, this state has always stood at the crossroads of our democracy. Our fight in 1776. We were the arsenal of democracy in World War I and World War II. But when soldiers came home in World War II, after fighting and many dying for our country, they came home to a country where black soldiers did not have full civil rights. People who had been dying for our freedom came home and were not treated equally. So they advocated for their rights. And in 1945, New Jersey became the very first state in the entire nation to pass a state civil rights law. And I thought that was cool. But here's what I thought was even cooler. It passed unanimously. So we are going to fight together for the things we care about. And then I'm going to leave you with this as you get everybody out to vote tomorrow. Last chance. I'm going to remind you guys that New Jersey is not a red state. New Jersey is not a purple state. New Jersey is a blue state. And so New Jersey, when we vote, we win. When we vote, we win. When we vote, we win. All right, let's vote New Jersey. I love you, Montclair.
All right, folks, there you have it once again, a rally on Election Day Eve in New Jersey. That was the Democratic candidate for Governor Mikey Sherrill. We do have another feed. We're actually still waiting for it to get up. It's in black right now, but the Republican candidate, Jack Ciattarelli, also has a rally scheduled for this evening. So as we see any feeds coming in on that front, we will bring that to you here on Live Impact News. But once again, it looks like the feed is prepped and ready to go, but the shot is still black. So with that, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes with more of your headlines on the other side. Welcome back, everyone, to Live Impact News. We mentioned we've got a couple feeds we are still waiting on. We just heard from the Democratic candidate for governor of New Jersey, Mikey Sherrill. We're waiting for the Republican, Jack Ciattarelli, to make an appearance at a rally in New Jersey as well. That feed is still not coming up with any activity quite yet. We also have something we're watching in South Korea, where we've got Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth abroad with talks on U.S. troop involvement in that region. When that shot comes up, we'll bring that to you. Meantime, we'll get back to the SNAP discussion here in Mecklenburg County, North Carolina. We mentioned that we had county leaders talking about how they plan to have some assistance for folks who rely on essentially food stamps in the area, as SNAP benefits have been suspended amid the ongoing government shutdown. We'll listen in now.
Food Assistance Initiative we are launching will provide $50 of food gift cards to any resident newly approved for emergency SNAP benefits during this time. As part of the county SNAP Double Bucks incentive at local farmers markets, we will provide special one-time $50 farmers market vouchers to eligible SNAP households. Last but certainly not least, to allow for our residents to assist further in our emergency response efforts, we will be installing food donation boxes at our public libraries and park and recreation facilities. In addition, we have partnered with Nourish Up to create a new online.
All right, folks, and with that, we do have one of our feeds ready to go. In New Jersey, as we mentioned, the Republican now in the governor's race, Jack Ciattarelli, has taken to the stage for a rally on Election Day Eve. Let's listen in.
Grandparents made this their home, and how lucky I am that they did. But it's great to see all of you. Are you ready to win this governor's race? A little higher, a little higher. Oh, there you go. You're the engineer on the job. Well, I'm telling you right here and now, it's about 26 hours from right now. We're declaring victory. We're winning this race. You know, there are a lot of differences between me and my opponent. Right here now, you want to know what the biggest one is? I know where the hell Raritan is. Did you see the other day she was trying to show you her travels around New Jersey? They've been very limited. She was streaming live on Facebook, and she was in Middlesex County, and she's streaming live. She says, "We're leaving Middlesex County. We're heading up to Burlington County." Okay, for those of you that just failed the New Jersey geography test, when you're in Middlesex, you don't go up to Burlington, you go down to Burlington County. The other test she failed was that whole pork roll Taylor ham thing. Okay, she failed that one too. But that's because she's no Jersey girl. She's no Jersey girl. So, listen guys, I'm so confident we're going to win this race, but I've never been more energized, never been more committed, never been more determined than all of you, but there are signs everywhere. Have you seen the recent polls? We're right there. We're right there. We're out fundraising my opponent. We're out energizing my opponent. And today I picked up the 15th endorsement from another prominent Democrat. And when Democrats are endorsing the Republican nominee, it tells you how badly people want change all across this state. So, but listen, here's what she's going to do for the next 24 hours. It's what she's been doing every single day since she won the primary on June 11th, okay? She's going to tell you she's a Jersey girl. We've already dispelled that. She's going to remind you every day she's a woman. That's fine, but I'm here to tell all of you I'm a man. She's going to tell you every day that she's a mother of four. I'll tell you I'm a father of four. She'll tell you she's an attorney. I'll tell you I'm a CPA business owner. She's going to tell you she knows how to run that helicopter. But if you watch this campaign, including the two debates, it's evident she doesn't have a clue on how to run the state of New Jersey. She doesn't. Now, there's nothing she won't blame on the president. If you get a flat tire on the way home tonight, it's President Trump's fault. There's nothing she won't blame on the president. But we're not falling for that. What we'll continue to do is talk about what it is that we're going to do when we win this race in 26 hours. Because here's what happened on day one of my administration. Executive order number 1 on day 1. No town in this state will be a sanctuary city, and we will not be a sanctuary state. We're not going to encourage illegal immigration nor make the job of our law enforcement community harder. We're also going to bring back to work, Executive Order number 2, all of our state workers. Have you tried getting somebody on the phone? Have you tried getting your issue resolved? You can't get these people on the phone. You pay for that state government. When I'm your governor, it'll work every single day for you. We're going to reduce the size and cost of our state government to afford a tax cut for individuals and businesses, which is long overdue. Also on day 1, you get an attorney general who supports police and parents here in the state of New Jersey. How do we support police? We're getting rid of cashless bail. Cashless bail's created a professional criminal who's learned how to game the system. How will my AG support parents? We're getting rid of policy 5756. No longer will school districts be keeping secrets from parents in our schools. It's immoral, it's indecent, it's wrong, and it stops on day 1 of my administration. On day 1, you get a whole new state board of education, and we're going to fix the public school curriculum. Back to basics and teaching critical life skills with an age-appropriate curriculum, vocational training, and it'll respect parental rights also on day 1. I will lower your electricity bill on day 1 by pulling out of Phil Murphy's carbon tax, cap and trade policies. You know, the only specific proposal you've gotten this whole campaign from my opponent is this. I know you've seen the commercial. Just like that bullshit about me raising your sales tax, it's all a lie. The whole campaign's been based on a stack of lies. Her disdain for the president, she can fly a helicopter. Is that going to fix New Jersey? No, it's not. But you've seen the commercials. On day 1, I'm going to declare a state of emergency and freeze energy prices. Freeze energy prices at an all-time high? We want them back to where they were, okay? There are 77 incumbent Democratic legislators. Not one has endorsed her plan. Even the governor of her own party went on TV and said, I don't think you can do that. You can't do it. What you can do is pull out this cap and trade carbon tax policy to lower your energy price on day 1, which I will do. We're getting rid of the EV mandate. I'm never telling you what car you got to buy. I'm not telling you how to heat your homes. I'm not telling you what appliance you have to buy. No wind farms off our Jersey shore. Hey, Jake, watch this one. Watch this one. And the best part of my energy master plan, at the supermarket, you can have back your plastic bags. It amazes me. I say I'm going to lower taxes. I get this nice little round of applause. I say I'm bringing back the plastic bags. It brings down the house every single time. On day 1, counsel to the governor is going before the state Supreme Court with 2 arguments that are long overdue. We are going to stop all this overdevelopment in our suburban communities. And we'll get a new school funding formula that provides fair share, equity distribution of state aid to our schools to lower the property taxes. Guys, I couldn't be more excited. I'm going to continue to get up and down this state over the next 24 hours, just as I had every day since I declared back in 2024. North, Central, South, and Jersey Shore. And those of us from Raritan know that there is a Central Jersey. I don't want to hear shit about it from anybody. There is a Central Jersey here. 564 towns, 21 counties, and all 600 diners. I hit time to eat for the 16th time today. Every time my poster says, Jack, we gotta go do another poll. I say, yeah, you go do your poll. I'm going to a diner. So this was the most part earlier this week. Nutley, Essex County, overwhelmingly Democratic town. I went into the local diner. I got a standing ovation. People want change. We need change. It is time. I want to get back to that day. I grew up in a home about 200 yards from here. I want to get back to that day. My parents never had to worry about me walking to the bus stop. My parents never had to worry about what I was learning in school that day. That was a time and era when if my parents got a phone call from any of the nuns at St. Anne's, my teacher, local cops. I was in serious shit when I got home. Okay? I'm just thankful there was not a Costco back then. Have you seen the size of these wooden spoons today? My mother would have put me in the ER at one of those. We had the more traditional type. Okay? But you know what it is I'm talking about. My parents both worked 2 jobs. They owned Espos back in the 60s and 70s. It was known as Anthony's back then. They never worried about keeping the roof over their head for their middle-class family, and they were confident their 4 kids would do better than they did. We got to get back to that day, and that's what this race is all about. Let's get back to that day. Now, a couple things I want you to know about me that are really important. Number 1, the Cettarellis have all been really fortunate because of our hard work. We've been here for 100 years, and 3 generations of us have been business owners. And so with that, you know, we're very fortunate because of our hard work, and we're very thankful for what New Jersey's provided. When people ask me why you're running for governor, I want today's New Jerseyans and future generations of New Jersey feel confident they too can achieve their American dream right here in New Jersey. That's what this is all about. But because of our good fortune from our hard work, something I want you to know. I've already had the best titles in the world: son, brother, father. This isn't a vanity tour, okay? This isn't about me going to Washington, D.C. I don't want to be congressman. I don't want to be senator. I don't want to be president. I don't want to write a book. I just want to right the ship. So you don't need to worry about me being distracted once I get down there to Trenton. My only ambition is to fix the state of New Jersey. And with your help, we can do this. We can get this done. It's time. Let's get this done. The other thing I want you to know is, unlike the current governor and my opponent, they're owned by powerful special interests. They're lying about me every single day. So let me make something perfectly clear. Number 1, your taxes are not going up. I'll be lowering your income tax and your property tax. Let me make one other thing clear. If you're a teacher, if you're a professional firefighter, or if you're a police officer, we are not touching your public pensions. You're middle-class, hardworking people. Your pensions will be there for you. These are the lies that are being spread every day about me. But my opponent's owned by the special interests. And once the governor is owned, they're compromised. And once they're compromised, they can't get the job done. You don't need to worry about that with me. You don't need to worry about me being distracted with Washington, D.C. ambitions. My only ambition is to fix the state of New Jersey. When this is all over, I'm going to the beach in Surf City. All right? This is home. Always has been, always will be. But we got to finish strong. Championship teams finish strong and deliver championships. So you know what I'm going to do over the next 24 hours. Here's what I need you to do. First and foremost, if you come across anybody who isn't voting for Jack Cettarelli with passion, with conviction and determination, practice if you must, I want you to convince them that Election Day is Wednesday, November 5th. What's so damn funny? I wasn't joking. You're never going to hear me say this is the most important election of our lifetime. I think every election is equally important for different reasons, but I will say this. The future of our state hangs in the balance. Within 2 months, I will have been here 64 years. I don't ever remember it ever being this bad. I don't ever remember it being this hard. Look at your property tax bill. If you're a tenant, look at your monthly rent. Look at your electricity bill. Look what they've done to public education. We've slipped from 2 to 12 on National Report Card. Look what they've done to our cops and handcuffing them and preventing them from keeping our community safe. Look what they're doing with taking Garden right out of the Garden State with all this overdevelopment. This is all due to the party that's controlled Trenton for 25 years. This is due to the party that's controlled the governorship for the past 8 years. We need a change. So tell people what's at stake. If you come across people who aren't thinking about voting, get them to vote, okay? We can win this race, but we got to turn it out. So I'm going to do my part. You do your part. Let's get this done. Come on. Let's get this done. And I can't tell you how much I love the symmetry. It all began when I was born in Somerset Hospital back in the day. My parents brought me home to Anderson Street, where my father was born in 1927, 14 Anderson Street. And in 1967, we moved into a house about 200 yards from here, and I grew up on the streets of this great borough. I still love it. So it's great to be home. And I'm glad that we're ending the campaign right here, right now. This is the last rally. This is the last get-together before we go home and make our phone calls and our text messages to get people out to vote. I want to get my family up here. Come on up here, gang. Get up here, Felix. Get up here, Georgia. Get up here, Anita. Come on here, USA! Did my brother start that chant? I'm just lucky he didn't run for governor. I'd be screwed. Now, I understand you heard from Jimmy Gannon here tonight. Did you hear from the next lieutenant governor? No. Jimmy, get up here, buddy. You know, right after I won the primary, we made a very loud and clear statement that we're getting back to being a law and order state. And I named the sheriff of Morris County as my lieutenant governor, Jimmy Gannon. This is a 40-year decorated local law enforcement officer, and together we work together in partnership with our local law enforcement agencies to make sure New Jersey is safe once again. Jimmy, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks very much, Governor.
Now, in the earlier part of my remarks, I said we're going to win this race. And when I said that, I wasn't just talking about me. Back in 2021, with me at the top of the ticket, a little bit of wind in our face, we flipped 134 seats at the municipal and county level, over 200 Board of Education seats, and 8 seats in the state legislature. It was the most successful night in 34 years for the Republican Party. I think I was the only guy that lost that night, quite frankly. I don't know. I'm still in therapy, KC. A win will get me out. A win will get me out. But the point I'm trying to make is we've got some wind in our back this time around. And with that wind in our back, I'm confident we can flip 13 seats this time around the state legislature. When we do that, we get something we haven't had in 25 years. How about a Republican majority in our state legislature? And this is the 23rd district, is it not, Mr. DeMayo? It is. So right below me on the ballot is John DeMayo and Eric Peterson for State Assembly. Guys, come on up here. John, Eric, come on up. You think these guys are doing a good job of representing Raritan and Somerset County now? Just wait till they get a Republican governor. Gentlemen, Eric. Guys, there's a lot at stake. Now, how many of you participate in early voting? All right, that looks like about 50% to me. That means the rest of you have to vote tomorrow. Onofrio? Okay. Now listen, whether you know, we don't know how you vote, right? But we know whether or not you voted. So if I find, I'm looking around, I've recognized a lot of faces. And if I find out anybody here tonight didn't vote, I will track you down. I will track you down. Mark my word, I will track you down. John Giotis, I see you out there, brother. I see you. You've already voted 3 times, I know. No, Republicans don't do that. We win fair and square. We win fair and square. All right now. Flo, how are you? Nobody says more prayers for me than Flo. Flo, it's great to see you. Great. But you have to vote too, Flo. Prayers and no votes is no good. Prayers and votes is real good. By the way, I heard recently that God is nonpartisan. A priest told me that, and I told a priest, he may be nonpartisan, but this year he's voting Republican. I'm telling you right now. Hey, championship teams finish strong. Let's get this done. Come on. It's time. It's time to vote. It's time to win. It's time to change New Jersey. Let's get this done. Let's go. Let's go.
All right, folks, you've been listening into a rally here on Election Day Eve in New Jersey. That was the Republican candidate for Governor Jack Ciattarelli. Of course, earlier here in the stream, we heard from his the other candidate, the Democrat Mikey Sherrill, in the governor's race. And as you can see with our feed in the bottom right corner, we are awaiting Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth making an appearance in South Korea. It looked like just a few moments ago they were taking photos together with some of the officials, but we've not heard any audio. Actually, it's like the feed's kind of in the process of moving around. So we're going to take a quick break, folks. We may be back with this feed if we get the Defense Secretary speaking, or we might move on to other feeds that we're seeing from around the nation. We'll see you in 2 minutes, folks. Welcome back, everybody. We are going to turn now to an announcement from earlier today about mental health here in North Carolina. NCDHHS and North Carolina First Lady Anna Stein unveiled what's called a FACT Teams program. FACT stands for Forensic Assertive Community Treatment Teams, and they'll be based in a couple of counties, including Mecklenburg County. This is a pilot program that's focused on helping folks who have severe mental health needs and are part of the justice system successfully re-enter their communities with less likelihood of reoffending. Let's listen in.
Thank you so much, First Lady Stein, for the kind introduction, but more than anything, for your unwavering support as we work together to, I hope you heard what she said, to create a mental health system of care that works for everyone in North Carolina. I'm going to go into some more details about this critical program, but before I do, I want to talk a little bit about the need. So, providing alternatives to incarceration when it's appropriate, and then supporting people upon their release from incarceration with things like treatment, but also housing and employment, are critical if we're going to stop the cycle of justice system involvement. And these services that we're going to talk about really improve outcomes for people's lives, not just in reducing recidivism, but making sure they're able to reconnect to their communities, employment, their families, and make sure that their health and well-being is also taken care of. We've shared statistics before, but I want to remind you about some of those. More than 50% of people in the criminal justice system have a mental health issue. They go into the system with a mental health issue, and oftentimes they are not receiving treatment for the mental health issue. For some, it creates additional mental health issues. We know that upwards of 60%, in some cases we have reports of 75% of people who are incarcerated also have substance use issues. Again, that was prior to their incarceration. So again, what we're trying to accomplish is helping people avoid incarceration when appropriate. When it's more appropriate to go into treatment, we want to make sure that's happening. But we absolutely want to improve what we call reentry. It's exactly what it sounds like. People coming out of carceral settings, we want to make sure that they are effectively connected to the treatment and supports that they need. It is good for them, it is good for their families, and it is good for our communities. The FACT teams that the First Lady mentioned, there are 4 of them. She told you the counties where they are. This is a $9.5 million investment. And these teams will provide immediate assistance to up to 30 people per teams across these counties in North Carolina. Our goal is that this is incredibly successful and we're able to replicate this in more counties. Now, the First Lady talked about the clinical services involved, right? So each of the teams will have a psychiatrist or a psychiatric practitioner. They'll have a team leader that kind of helps the team all work cohesively. They'll have a mental health counselor, and they'll also have a peer specialist. That peer specialist role is really special. So a peer is someone with their own mental health challenges who has been involved in the justice system. So they know how to navigate both things, which are actually quite tricky. They know how to navigate a mental health system that sometimes can be confusing and challenging, but they also know how to navigate what it's like being involved in the justice system and the challenges that creates for a person when they're re-entering back into the community. So in addition to those licensed folks that the First Lady spoke about, there's some other roles on the team that are really important for you to know about. We also have a substance use specialist, obviously. So a lot of the folks with mental health issues also are struggling with co-occurring mental health issues. And as you can imagine, both exacerbate the other. There's also a vocational or educational specialist. We want to make sure folks are able to get jobs or education, right? That is really critical to being able to be active members of their community and of their families. There are also housing specialists. Housing is hard. Finding affordable, safe housing is hard for many people. It can be particularly hard when you're leaving the carceral setting. And then lastly, a forensic navigator. What could that possibly be? I always like to tell people this story. I'll tell you in abbreviated version. If you've never done a re-entry simulation, I encourage you to do so. What you are done is you're put in the role of a person leaving a carceral setting. You've got a probation or a parole officer. You have very little given to you with your identity, sometimes not even an ID. If you're lucky, you get $10. You usually don't have anywhere to live. You maybe have a bus pass. But boy, you have a huge list of things that you have to do to maintain your parole or probation. A huge checklist of services, supports, tests that you have to have done, jobs, housing. It's incredible. You also have to manage checking in, court dates, all of those things. So again, having someone that can help you figure out how to navigate that all, know your rights, your responsibilities, make sure things are going well is really critical. So let's talk about how you can even get these services, right? How could you be eligible for these services? So to be eligible, it's actually pretty easy. You have to have what we call a serious mental illness, and for those of you that don't work in my world, right, that's everything from major depression to chronic post-traumatic stress disorder, bipolar disorder. It could even be a more serious disorder like schizophrenia. And it happens every day, right? Those individuals are in jail, are incarcerated, and they need meaningful supports when they leave. So you've got to have a serious mental illness, and you have to present a medium to high risk of criminal behavior. Again, as I said, a lot of these folks have also co-occurring substance use issues. Sometimes they have a history of recidivism and reincarceration, inability to meet parole or probation requirements, and they often have frequent contact with first responders or emergency rooms. That's just a typical profile of these individuals. So again, intense needs and need a lot of intense support. These FACT teams are only one of many investments that we have been working on over last year and this year, and that we'll keep working on. And all these investments are about access to care for people involved in the justice system or at risk of justice system involvement. The teams are being put together now. They are launching towards the end of the year and the beginning of the next year. And towards the end of next year, we're going to hear about how things are going. And we stand ready to support the teams because we know they're doing important work and they will receive all of our support. We already support more than 50 what we call diversion and reentry programs. So we're trying to get folks on the front end into treatment and reentry. And that's in many counties across the state. And we'll continue to partner with counties, with our LMEs, with our providers, with consumers and families to create more of these opportunities for people. So lastly, I'm going to make some introductions. I want to thank members of our FACT teams who've traveled here from all corners of the state to be with us. So you're going to actually hear from several representatives from the Buncombe County and the Mecklenburg teams. They're going to tell you a little bit about their role on the team. And we're going to hear from a team leader, a psychiatrist at a minimum. And right now I'm going to turn things over to Buncombe County's team lead, Lacey Rutherford.
My name is Lacey Rutherford. I am a licensed clinician, passionate and devoted to not only meeting people where they are, but bringing support to them in the community. And I will be leading the FACT team program for RHA Health Services in Buncombe County, North Carolina. RHA has served this community for almost 20 years. We are excited to further that commitment through partnerships with state agencies and local organizations to support people living with severe and persistent mental health challenges, people who are also involved in the criminal justice system. The FACT model builds on the proven success of assertive community treatment by integrating forensic expertise, legal coordination, and intensive behavioral health support to promote recovery. Our Buncombe County team is passionate and ready. Like Jessie, our peer support specialist, who is a fierce advocate with lived experience. Jennifer, our registered nurse, whose desire to continuously learn is only highlighted by her career experience. And Rachel, our psychiatric nurse practitioner, who is eager to serve this community and ensures to bring whole person care. This is evidence of our commitment to our core 4 anchors of the FACT model. We are prepared and have established strong relationships with police, lawyers, and community helpers to ensure that people receive the support they need. This program demonstrates RHA's commitment to supporting people wherever they are, in the community, during a crisis, or facing complex day-to-day challenges. RHA is recognized for developing innovative solutions. Our behavioral health, urgent care, and mobile crisis teams are lifelines for people in the community. We believe the FACT team will continue this mission through community connection, advocacy for recovery, and supporting our local emergency response and legal systems. We thank the North Carolina Department of Human and Health Services, Via Health, and our local partners for their support. And thank you for listening and helping us share this important news as we advance our mission for recovery.
Good morning. I am also here as team lead for Strategic Interventions FACT team in Mecklenburg County, and very excited to move forward in this endeavor in my native of Charlotte, North Carolina, and also here with the psychiatrist of the team, Dr. Farah.
Thank you. These are tough acts to follow. So thanks, everyone. Yes, I'll be the psychiatrist for the Mecklenburg team. And I've been with Strategic Interventions about 10 years, and ACT is, of course, the principal part of FACT, right? Forensic Assertive Community Treatment. And they bring decades of experience to assertive community treatment. And we've had a lot of overlap already with forensic work. I think, as the First Lady said, we have to meet people where they are. And we have a lot of experience with that. I know, personally, I've been doing psychiatry in the Triad since I started my residency in 1990, which makes me old, and not that old, but when I started, we would have this moonlighting job where the residents could go and work in the jail overnight. And that was my first taste of forensic work. And I remember my first night there, it was just me and one nurse, and I said, okay, this guy's really sick. Where is the pharmacy? And she said, oh, the pharmacy, it's that drawer over there. So I opened the drawer, and it had Benadryl, Valium, and Haldol in it. And she said, that's got to get us through the night. And she sang the John Lennon song, whatever gets you through the night is all right. So we talk a lot about getting the services to people who need them the most. And with severe mental illness, you know, the people that need us the most aren't always aware of that. With illnesses like schizophrenia or bipolar, many of our patients don't have insight that they're ill at all. And 80% of the time when they come in the hospital, sometimes 90% of the time, they're not compliant with their medications. They don't believe they need them. And as the First Lady alluded to, a lot of substance use out there. There's just been this explosion in substance use all over the country in the last couple of decades. And we see that comorbidity, that exacerbation and induction of major psychiatric illness from that. In fact, 15% of cannabis users will break psychotic and stay schizophrenic. And when I tell people that, they don't believe me, but I say, look it up. We know that if a person gets psychotic just one time on methamphetamines, there's a 50% chance they will stay with a psychotic condition. So tremendous overlap, and we all know the consequences of not getting the treatment to the people that need it the most. We see that on the news, sadly, sometimes. So that's what's so nice about, as was said earlier, meeting people where they are and bringing the treatment to them. And we have some fantastic treatments now. We have medications that for people who don't want to take them, you can inject it just under the skin. It may last up to 2 months and work, or 6 months in some cases. We have fantastic treatments. It's just a matter of getting it to those people who need it the most. So I'm happy to be part of this. And again, we bring a lot of experience to the table. And hopefully, you know, we all see episodes and we say, gosh, how did that person slip through the cracks? You know, with all this wonderful medical technology out there, all the services out there, how does this person slip through the cracks? And hopefully this is a way to fill some of those cracks. And it's just good to be a part of it. So thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Okay.
I think now we're going to do Q&A, right, Kitty? Q&A, and that could mean any of you get called upon to answer questions. So. Hey, Lynn.
Hey, so how many other states have this? How do you know if it's working? And is it going to be like an ACT team where it's mobile and will respond to emergencies?
Woo, that was a lot of questions. So I'll try some of them. But Sarah, I need you to think about other states that have FACT teams because it's relatively newish. Oh, and Sheila's here too. Sheila and Sarah. Sarah is our chief for all of our justice and substance use services. And Sheila really is who's been working with all these wonderful teams to start up. So FACT teams are very much like ACT teams. So ACT teams, for those of you who don't know, right? It's kind of like, we used to call them kind of like walking hospitals, only because when you think about when someone is hospitalized, right, you've got a doctor, you've got a nurse, you got clinicians that come, you got technicians that come. And it's even more. You got the discharge planner in the hospital, right? So it's all of those things, but allows someone or supports someone living in the community, which is what we want, right? We want people to live in the community, not in institutional settings. It's supplemented by, as we said, like vocational and educational specialists as well, peers, people who have lived there and done that. So it's very much in the community. FACT team members, really, they do work as a team. And oftentimes, at any particular time, several members of the team could be working with an individual, depending on what their goals are, what they need additional support with. They can meet them at home, in their apartment, wherever. They can go with them to a doctor's appointment. They can meet them in a park, wherever is on a job that they're trying to get. They can meet them wherever they need to be met. How do we know it's working? So great question. So with all of our investments in this particular space, we're actually evaluating their impact. And so this is what we want. Obviously, the number one thing we want to make sure is that people come back safely in the community. So what we want to make sure is some of the quote unquote easier things to measure, right, is did they get connected to treatment? Were they able to obtain a job and keep the job? Did they get their own home? The ones that matter to us social workers, how do they feel? Right? Sometimes we describe it as how are their symptoms, but I want to know how they feel. Are they able to maintain their recovery from their mental health symptoms or their substance use? And are they avoiding recidivism? Obviously. Are they avoiding rearrest? And are they avoiding overuse of crisis services? Lynn, you asked one other question about the teams being able to respond after hours and in crisis. Yes, that's a very important part of the team, right? So it's not like the team is on from 8 to 5. That's not at all. They're there 24/7. They are that wraparound support for that individual. So very much so, if the person is in crisis, they can respond and support that individual in crisis for whatever they need. FACT, I don't know if you guys have statistics for me yet, but FACT's, it's not in a lot of states yet. I mean, that's why we're starting it as a pilot. We actually worked with, was it Connecticut, the gentleman, the doctor, the physician from Minnesota? I'm sorry, they're very different. Connecticut, Minnesota, I'm not sure how I confused them. With kind of the developer and the person who's been testing out the model. So he's coaching us and the teams, but it's very much a pilot, and we will measure its outcomes and how we're doing. So I mentioned that kind of at the beginning. We want outcomes for the people we support. We want to make sure the investment is great, but we also want to be there to support, right? We're not going to walk away from these awesome teams. They're going to keep being awesome, but it's our job to support them. Maybe they need it to look or feel different or to be paid differently, and so we want to listen to them and support them in whatever way they need.
Is this program already started? When does it go into effect or start up? And then tell us why North Carolina needs this.
Okay, so did you guys start yet? Either of you? You've already started?
All right, folks, before we get into the Q&A section, we just want to let you know we're actually a few moments away from wrapping up here on Live Impact News and turning you over to our next hour of programming. Do we have NFL? NFL Panthers?
Yes, with Danielle.
Okay, our Danielle Stein is coming up next. Just wanted to double confirm that we've got that, talking about Panthers and what we can expect with the upcoming matchup here. So, it's Saints, yeah. Back at home. I like that. All right, we're going to turn you over now to our next hour of programming with Danielle Stein. Make sure you keep it here on WCNC Plus for the very latest headlines coming up at 11 as we return for your newscast then. Have a great night, folks.